Cooking. I know we say this is a new regime, but many regimes in Detroit history have made some of the same mistakes. So any offensive lineman for me would just be a throw the hands up in the air, walk out the room, and turn on something else.
I think you're both wrong.
Can I guess yours?
Yes.
Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle.
If you take Kyle Hamilton, I will be pissed.
So Dave Burkett put out an article yesterday on Freak.com with Todd McShay. And McShay's talking about, you know what, it sucks this year to have the number 2 pick for the Detroit Lions. No really elite player at number 2 that somebody's going to want to give you the haul required to jump up to number 2.
If it sucks at 2, it's got to suck at 1 too.
Exactly. Unless you really believe Aiden Hutchinson is, the drop-dead best can't-miss player in the draft. Is there a player, though, that they would select it to that you'd be totally pissed about? Throw your hands up in the air and say, you've got to be kidding me. Maz, go ahead. You raise your hand first.
Any offensive lineman.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. I'm just putting that out there. Do not pick an offensive lineman. Thank you. Braylon?
Me and Maz are definitely in sync today. I said 2 players, Evan Neal and Aquanu from North Carolina State. We don't need an offensive lineman. And people will say, well, the Lions aren't going to draft an offensive lineman. They have a great offensive line. Yes, they do. They have Jonah Jackson. They have Vaitai. They have Penei Sewell. They also have Frank Ragnow. They have Taylor Decker.
Evan Brown.
And if you talk Evan Brown, who they just re-signed as a backup center, you talk to Tony Baselli, Hall of Famer this year. He said that we have the best line going into the 2022 season. That's coming. That's high praise. That's high praise from a Hall of Fame left tackle. And you're like, they would never do that. Guess what? This is the Detroit Lions. You never know what they're cooking. I know we say this is a new regime, but many regimes in Detroit history have made some of the same mistakes. So any offensive lineman for me would just be a throw the hands up in the air, walk out the room, and turn on something else.
I think you're both wrong.
Can I guess yours?
Yes.
Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle.
But we've been talking about Kyle Hamilton. So I know it's Kyle Hamilton, but you mean to tell me if they draft offensive line, you would be cool with that over Kyle Hamilton?
I would not be cool with it, but I would think that...
Yeah, I'm waiting for this one. You would think what?
I would think that they took the best player on their board regardless of position. Regardless of position, they would take the best player on their board. I would hate it.
They got 5 players that can be in the Pro Bowl.
I would hate it if they took an offensive lineman. But there isn't a player on here, to me, Kyle Hamilton, and even to some extent, and this may be dumb to many out there, Kayvon Thibodeau. For whatever reason, they have talked me out of Thibodeau.
Don't let anybody else talk you out of the pick. Do your own research.
They have talked me out of Thibodeau.
They have 7 people on him today at Pro Day. So you better talk. You better call someone there, because that's trouble. That's trouble.
You say you hate the word narrative. The narrative has been created by people.
Yep.
Those people that Kayvon Thibodeau is a guy that doesn't care about on the field. He cares about himself. He's selfish. He's this guy. He didn't show up in big games. He didn't show up in the Ohio State. That's because he didn't play in the Ohio State game. Kayvon Thibodeau had 7 sacks in 10 games. 7 sacks in 10 games. Kayvon was a number 1 overall projection before the season started for a reason. Kayvon Thibodeau is a damn good player, and Kayvon Thibodeau is going to make a lot of people sad in the NFL when they pass on him, including the Detroit Lions, when he comes out and he becomes a perennial Pro Bowl player. Kyle Hamilton's another guy. Had a really good freshman season, so-so sophomore season. Had a good season last year before he got injured. If you take Kyle Hamilton, I will be pissed, but I still would understand. He's a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowler. He can help the secondary that definitely needs a guy like that, kind of a Quandre Diggs, a Tyrann Mathieu, guy that can go after it and play. He comes from great pedigree. It's Notre Dame. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. You take a lineman with the number 2 pick when you got 7 guys, 6 of them with Pro Bowl talent. That's tough.
Let's see if we can agree on this. I don't believe there's any player that they would select at number 2 that would actually live up to the number 2 pick, worthy of being a number 2 overall pick, unless that's Malik Willis. I don't think there's anybody there. I mean, is Thibodeau going to be a Pro Bowler?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
You are high on Thibodeau.
It's not hard to make the Pro Bowl anymore, and I know people are going to be like, what? No. Start looking at stats. A lot of people opt out of the Pro Bowl every year. Chase Young made the Pro Bowl.
That's true.
Phenom from Ohio State. He didn't have a phenom year that first year with the Washington Commanders. Now, glad I got that right. If you look at his stats, he only had 8-9 sacks. So it's not that hard to make a Pro Bowl. Now, if you're talking about being
All-Pro?
There you go.
Yeah, difference.
Now that's different. Now Micah Parsons, his guy, and I'm mad I brought it up because I know it's going to send him on a tear. Micah Parsons is an all-pro. Like that's different from being a Pro Bowler.
Unicorn.
If Penei Sewell was in this draft, he'd be the drop-dead #1 overall player in the draft, right?
I don't think. I don't know about
I
that.
would. Judging off what happened last year, we can say that. But if he was in this draft, you know what they would say? Well, you know what? Guy in Penei Sewell out of Oregon didn't play last year. We don't know what to expect out of him. He's only 19 years old. He's 20 now. That would have been the conversation about him this year. Like they would have found a way to knock him down the peg as well. But to your point, probably would have been the overall #1 favorite.
Here, the YouTube haters out there. There's their hates. They got Hamilton. They got Malik Willis. They got Evan Neal. That's mainly the names I've seen here. There's another one that says
everybody.
Just take Thibodeau is another one.
I don't have a problem with
that. But there's not many other names out there. Just the names that we were talking about. That's it.
The more this goes on, though, the more I believe that they're not going to be able to trade out of that pick too. Like just the more like McShay being able to pick a player for the draft, like in a mock draft, I feel like that's all BS, right?
Yeah.
But I do think he talks to enough people to where you get a sense that they're not going to be able to trade out of the pick. Does that make sense?
No, you're 100% correct.
Like I kind of believe that aspect of it. Like when it's all said and done on April 28th, the Lions are going to be picking in that #2 spot.
Yeah.
I kind of am there now.
Daniel Jeremiah today, I read it on my way into the studio. He came out with something to say. The Lions at 2 are going to take whatever defensive guy is there. He still thinks it could be Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And he says they're going to trade up with the Eagles to get pick 19 and steal Malik Willis from the Steelers. They're going to have to give up their #1 at 32, possibly the 34th, and like a 5th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick to move up with the Eagles and steal Malik Willis from the Steelers.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
If you take Malik Willis, just take him.
Take him at 2.
Just take him.
Take him at 2 and then keep your 2 picks.
Yes.
And maybe there's a defensive player like later that's going to fall to you.
Maybe Nakobe Dean will be there.
And those wide receivers are going to be off the board.
So you have a problem with the Detroit Lions somehow being able to draft Aiden Hutchinson #2 overall and then trade up their 32nd pick and maybe a 3rd-round pick for Malik Willis at 17 or whatever. You would have a problem with them acquiring Malik and
Aiden? If they get Hutchinson at 2, then I'm cool with that.
What did the Rams say? What's that? What's
F them picks.
F them picks. Okay.
But the thing about it is, you in order to say F them picks, you got to be in a situation where you've built up a team with a nice foundation. Like they built that team up to get to a point where they can say F them picks. You can't, as the Detroit Lions right now, say F them picks. You got to get a base before you can say F them picks.
And what do the Rams have? My favorite words?
Oh, man.
House money.